In 1948 I was on the last sailing vessel to take cargo out of Australia, and a big four-masted bark called a Passat, and I learned this there. And I did 2 trips on her, 48 and 49. And the last trip we took, we had 54,000 bags of wheat, took from Australia to England. I joined her when I was 17. I'm not such a fast sailor now, but I do about 24 to 30 feet a day. The old timers would say that hand stitching is stronger, but it's not as quick. I have to admit, I have to go along with that part of it. But it is more in character with this vessel. You see, if you see on the deck, we've got quite a few things which are sewn by hand. Like covers, like those life raft covers over there, they're sewn by hand. And some binnacle covers aft, they're sewn by hand. And actually, when the ship was built originally, they were going to sew all the sails by hand. They started off on the mizzen mast, that's the last mast on the deck, and they're sewn by hand. But I think somewhere along the line they must have thought, well, this is going to take too long, and also it's much more costly at today's rate. When the ship was built, it wouldn't have been, because they had plenty of men and plenty of time. So it wasn't. But today's prices and that, like, time is money, and it's not cost efficient to sew everything by hand. Just some things like this we sew, and but the sails, when the sails are made, we loft them out and we give them to a sailmaker, another sailmaker who has a machine. He sews all the cloths together, but then we come and we put all the finishing touches to it by hand. Like all the eyelets are sewn by hand, all the roping is sewn by hand, the leathering is done by hand and things like that. The main tools for a sailmaker are a palm. You have 2 kinds of palms. This palm is called a seaming palm, which you see it's got small little holes. And you have another palm, which is this one, which is very similar to look at, but it has bigger slots in it to take a much larger needle. And then your needles. Today good needles are very hard to get. The firm that made what I considered the best needles was a firm called Shrimpton's, but they don't make them anymore. And so these ones aren't, and this sail twine is rather thin, so that you can get away with a needle that's not so wide. Before, the needles used to be a little bit wider because the sail twine was thicker to make a hole so it didn't catch. Your palm and your needles are the most important thing, but I have a few other funny little things. This is called a seam rubber. When all your stitches are finished, you lay it out on the deck and you rub them down like that to make them neater and harder. And this one I had made when I was on the Enterprise. That's my design of it, and it stays well. And this one here, that's a stitch heaver. Like if you're going through some heavy stuff, or you're putting a roping on, that's the rope that you sometimes say to it, you use this. Now, and the manner you use it, you just take it like that and put it like that, and it tightens the stitch up for you. And that's just a fit if you're splicing. And most people have the fibs are completely round, but I've found that if you have a little bit of ovalness on it, when you go in the rope and twist it, you get a wider hole to put your rope through. But that's different people like different things. And that's all which I make myself. For when you're using it on roping, and you have, sometimes you might be going through 8 or 10 thicknesses of cloth, and the needle wasn't, so you get through with that. Can stick yourself in that. But there's supposed to be, if you get any blood on your sail, if you're working for a sailmaker, he's supposed to get a tot of rum for that. For making his sail up.